Yo guys, what is happening? How are you all doing? My name is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and welcome back. So out of nowhere, today in the world of Nintendo became like the day of the tweet. They randomly, earlier today, just dropped a whole bunch of tweets featuring all sorts of crazy information and some pretty cool updates about things that we've been wondering about, including a pretty big surprise. So all in all, there was really three major pieces of news that came from Nintendo on Twitter earlier today, and there's two of those that I'm going to actually focus on in this video. The first thing we're going to discuss is this random news that out of nowhere Nintendo decided to confirm finally the launch window of their paid online service. We all know that's been something that's been a huge mystery. A lot of us have been wondering what is really happening here. Nintendo, what are you actually planning on doing with this online service? We've been waiting and waiting. You've told us that you're going to be, for the first time ever, finally charging us for this service, which is not great news and not something a lot of us wanted to hear, but to be fair, was certainly kind of expected. I mean, a lot of us were really predicting that for a long time. So they finally confirmed that there are going to be charges associated with playing games online for the Nintendo Switch. The prices so far are fantastically competitive and really, really cheap. So that part, at least, is nice to see. And then, of course, we know that Nintendo also launched the beta version of their cell phone app, which is supposed to be the real main central hub of their online network. And that launched in its beta form with Splatoon 2 last summer. And boy, oh boy, what a crazy shitstorm that thing created. It is not a loved product from Nintendo, and I think that it's a huge mistake. It's a big miss by them. And with that came everyone else's questions about, well, what is the final product going to look like? What is happening with these retro games they're letting us have access to? What other features and benefits will the paid online service come with? If we're actually going to be paying you, Nintendo, what is it that we actually get for that besides the ability to play online? Are we going to get something like the Virtual Console? We've all been wondering what's happening with Nintendo's Virtual Console, or access to some of their own retro games that we can purchase and download to our Switches. Will that service in some form finally show up at the paid online? Not to mention other games that are going to use the service. What is the purpose of the online infrastructure? Will we get other apps that people want, like YouTube and Netflix and things like that? So many questions, so many things. And so that brings us to the tweet that happened earlier today, where we didn't get a whole lot of information, but to get this window is pretty sweet. September this year, 2018, which is, fun fact, exactly 1.5 years since the launch of the Switch. It is 18 months from the launch of the Nintendo Switch in March last year. So, wow, that's a pretty long time when you look at the launch of the console and you go forward 18 months to think that this is when they're finally ready to launch their online service. I mean, if anything, it's really surprising. So, what does this mean? What can we actually take away from this? The knowledge that in September this year, we're actually going to finally get the launch of Nintendo's paid online service. There's a couple of things that this really tells us. I mean, you know, the ability to play online for free is definitely almost at its end. We've been enjoying that on the Nintendo Switch basically since it launched. I mean, the first online games started showing up within like a month or so after the launch of the console. We've been playing free that whole time through the launch of Splatoon 2 and ARMS and other third-party online games, you know, like Doom and Ultra Street Fighter, things like that. Of course, Mario Kart 8 was another big one. And with September, that's going to come to an end. We'll finally start paying Nintendo. As far as why they're waiting all the way until September, I mean, I have to say that is a shocker. Like I was kind of saying a second ago, I was really predicting earlier in the year, probably around the 1-year anniversary. And my feeling on that was that Nintendo doesn't want to go that long into the Switch's life without launching its paid online service and giving us these features. Because the earlier they can do that, A, the earlier they can start making money, and B, the longer throughout the life of the Switch the service will have been up and running. And I think that that's something Nintendo really would want, because I've been somebody who's predicting probably a shorter lifespan for the Switch than most other people. I'm predicting around 4 years. And to think they're going to go almost halfway through that 4 years, which is just a guess, but halfway through that 4 years before launching the online service, it's just a surprise. It just goes against what my theories and predictions were. But they were only guesses, and so here we are with the 18-month window. To me, one of the main things I'm taking away from this is that there truly might be a lot more planned for the launch of the Switch's online service than a lot of us might have initially thought. I mean, if they're not doing anything other than implementing the pay structure and also giving us whatever weird sort of rotating retro NES game package they were going to do, if those were the only things they were doing, I can't imagine it would take them 18 months to get this thing up and running. So there's two other pieces of information I take away from that. One is, like I was just saying, I think there is a lot more they plan on dumping on us with this online service to make sure that it's worth the money we're going to be paying for it, which is actually a good thing. As much as I don't want to start paying Nintendo to play online, and you guys don't want to start paying Nintendo, if they're going to give us a lot of great stuff and features and cool things that makes it worthwhile, that part makes me excited. The other thing I think about is the dreaded cell phone app. That's the other big thing to take away from this here, is what's happening with that cell phone app. And does that cell phone app have anything to do with why Nintendo is waiting until September within year 2 to launch this service? So I know it sounds crazy, and I'm probably shooting for the stars here, I just know it. But I'm seriously starting to wonder, with this September date, is it possible that Nintendo is kind of changing their mind on this phone app? I kind of wonder if the purpose of this app is going to be changing, and maybe Nintendo realized, man, we hated that thing. No one likes it. Creating that cell phone app and making it so integral to Nintendo's online network experience is a huge mistake. And it's not seamless. It's very cumbersome. It's awkward. It just doesn't flow with today's life and today's gameplay style. It just doesn't make any sense. And in its beta form, all of us have been very vocal about it. I mean, I never really tried the thing, but I saw enough videos and heard enough people who I know and trust talk about using it. I know it's not good. I know it doesn't make any sense. I have it downloaded, I just haven't used it, because I just play Splatoon, and I don't even use voice chat, so I don't even really care. So, with people being so vehemently against this thing, and Nintendo having such a huge window before launching the service, maybe, just maybe, and this is just my guess, I'm not trying to start any rumors, I'm just guessing, maybe they're going to change their plan. What if it doesn't become required to do a lot of the main integral online network things and interactions that Nintendo was planning, which would include voice chat? The thing is, when I think about Nintendo having a phone app that works with their online network, there's a part of me that thinks that there's a cool idea here. But the thing is, I think Nintendo would be smart to make the app complementary to the online experience, but still have the main online features happen through the Nintendo Switch hardware itself. I think that making the I keep wanting to say online phone app, making the cell phone app the central hub for everything that operates your connection to the online network, including voice chat, is a huge mistake, as I've already said. And I think that Nintendo's maybe realizing that, so I'm just going to cross my fingers that maybe I'm right a little bit here, and what they're doing is taking some time to kind of course correct with this cell phone app. I would be shocked if it went away completely. I think maybe they're just going to change it, and maybe it just gives you info and status and things you can do, interact with the eShop and other people who are online when you're out and about, but when you're actually going to play online, do main online gaming things or voice chat, that's when you actually need the Nintendo Switch itself, and they can move all those features. And maybe Nintendo's like, oh, we'd hate to do that because we spent so much time and money and R&D into making this phone app what it is. But it's like, you know what? You'd probably be smarter to just scrap that. Take the loss, chalk it up as a loss for Nintendo, say this thing ain't gonna work, it was a nice try, but it's not gonna work, let's spend the money to make it all happen through the OS of the Switch. That would be great. The only other last thing I wanna kind of elaborate on a little bit more is what other things we might actually get with the service when it launches in September. And I mean, honestly, it's kind of the things I already mentioned. We're probably going to get some sort of virtual console or announcement that retro Nintendo games are going to start making it to the eShop. You've heard me say many times what I think might happen is, instead of making a virtual console app or storefront for the Switch, they might just start throwing old games up on the eShop for individual purchase, just like the Neo Geo games. Throw NES, Super NES, Sega Genesis, N64, GameCube, all of these things. Just start throwing those games up in the eShop. You don't have to make a virtual console. I wouldn't be sad with the virtual console, but it's like maybe Nintendo doesn't want to do that. And so with this online service, maybe they start making that stuff available to us. They've been teasing things like a Netflix or a YouTube. Netflix kind of recently said that there's no plans officially yet, and just wait for more details soon, so who knows. But I don't know, man. I kind of feel like that's part of what's going on, is when they launch this thing in September, there's going to be a lot of things for us to do, and hopefully Nintendo will find a lot of cool and inventive ways to justify the price. They said that later in the year, Nintendo's going to give us more information. I'm going to assume in an E3, either right before or right at, or an E3. Oh my goodness, you guys. A Nintendo Direct, either right before or right after E3. That's my prediction for when Nintendo is going to share a little bit more information. about this. So yeah, I think that's really all I have to say on that topic, man. So yeah, September 2018, Nintendo's online service is finally going to launch. Now let's really quickly talk about the other big tweet and piece of information that Nintendo gave us today, which was a shocker, but a pretty cool one, I would say. And it's that officially there will be a Mario Kart mobile game coming. So here we see Nintendo continuing to reaffirm its faith and dedication to making mobile games, cell phone games and tablet games and the whole nine, which, you know, they started this a couple of years ago. They've released a few apps and games, and it's been up and down in terms of both quality and overall sales and revenue. Mostly up, though, for sure. Mostly there's been an upside to what Nintendo's been doing. And, you know, until Animal Crossing Pocket Camp launched, I was a little bit worried. Not worried, but maybe I was just kind of thinking that Nintendo was slowing down its dedication to this idea, and maybe they didn't see enough success, even though Fire Emblem Warriors, I know, was a very huge success. Of course, Pokemon Go, but that doesn't really qualify in the same camp because there's also Niantic in these things. But still, I was like, maybe Nintendo's going to just kind of slow this down and kind of shy away from this and realized it's not going to work because Mario Run wasn't a huge hit. But hey, it turns out that Animal Crossing came out. It's a very good game for fans. My girlfriend loves the game. And now we get Mario Kart, like probably their top 2 or 3 series period that Nintendo has. They're bringing Mario Kart. It's Mario Kart Tour, and it's going to be releasing in the fiscal year ending in March 2019. So sometime between March 2018 and March 2019, this game will launch. And I mean, what can I say about this? I have to say that it's certainly pretty cool. I mean, it's a really smart move. Something I tweeted this earlier, right before I kind of got on camera here, is that I'm not really personally excited for this. And the main reason is because I just simply don't game on my phone. I do not play games on my cell phone. And when Mario Run was releasing and I was getting excited for Nintendo making more mobile games and seeing what they were going to do, I was like, hey, maybe Nintendo's games will be the first games to get me to want to play games on my phone. And you know what? Mario Run is a very good game, and I still could give a crap. I just don't ever pull out my phone thinking I'm going to game on my phone. Like, whenever I'm gaming, I'm home playing on my TV, or I've got my Switch in my hand somewhere in my house or out in the world, and I'm playing that. I don't need to play games on my phone. Now, that doesn't mean that the games haven't been very quality. Like I said, my girlfriend is in love with Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. A lot of people love Animal Crossing. They love Fire Emblem. They love Mario Run. And Mario Kart, I think, if it turns out to be really good, which I do think it will be a very good game, that's going to be great. And it kind of just depends on what Nintendo decides to do with it. That's kind of the real question here, right? Like, are they going to make this free to play? Are they going to make this something that kind of uses the Mario Run formula, which didn't really work for them, by the way? Are they going to just charge a flat price, whatever it is? And if they do, how much will they charge? I think that Mario Run taught them that they can't really charge like a $9.99 kind of price, even though I would probably think it would even be worth a $9.99 price. I mean, I played Mario Run. I think that game is worth $10 as far as a video game. The problem is the mobile market is a totally different market with a way different kind of person that doesn't understand that kind of pricing and that kind of quality game. So who are they going to sell Mario Kart to? And based on that, what will they charge? I think they would be smart to charge like $2.99 or something like that. I feel like that's the best way to do it. Free to play is fine, but then you run into the risk of Animal Crossing where people don't really start purchasing your microtransaction stuff. If you do a price, I feel like you want to sell it for something way less than $10. You sell it for 2 or 3, have hopefully no microtransactions, or at least very, very, very few, and you can strike a nice balance. And I think a lot more people will be willing to drop $2.99 or $3.99 on a kick-ass looking Mario Kart game, as opposed to $9.99, which in mobile gaming dollars is like $1 jillion for people. You don't charge $10, you get the $2 or $3 or $4. I think you can get away with it. So, you know, like I was saying, I'm not into this. I doubt I'm going to play it. I will probably at least give it a shot, I should say, just to see, because, like I said, I believe the quality of the game will be great. I definitely think people are going to be interested. I think it is an incredibly smart move, so I applaud Nintendo for deciding to make Mario Kart their next game as far as mobile games goes. And like I said, depending on how they price this thing, I think it's also going to be a huge hit. I mean, Mario Kart just prints money. It's one of those things in the tech and the gaming world that just blindly prints money. Honestly, they probably don't even have to try that hard to get this thing to print money. So again, reiterating the same point, barring it not costing $10 or more, I think it's going to be a smash hit. And I am curious and excited to see what the game is going to be like. To be fair, I'll reiterate this last point. I do want to see the game, and I want to see how much time and effort they've put into it, how quality the game looks. Does it look like totally full-featured? You know, could it possibly be as big as something like a Pokemon Go? I mean, I feel like Pokemon and Mario Kart are like the cream of the crop in terms of sales for Nintendo. They're like, that's the two biggest, best properties they have. And so maybe it could be that big. And so I do want to see what they're going to do with it. But then again, is it going to use touch controls? Like, get out of here with touch controls, man. Like, not interested. That's not how I want to play my games. That's why I don't play on my freaking cell phone. Also, I use my cell phone for other things. I use it for social media and texting. Like, I don't want to pull it out and pull a game out on it. So anyway, I'm getting distracted and kind of tangenting a little bit. The point is, I'm excited to see the game. I think it's a smart move from Nintendo that's going to be a big hit. I'm probably not going to be into it, but I'm curious to see what happens. So that's it. Those are the two main things I wanted to discuss, and like, wow, this is crazy. These are two pretty big pieces of news that Nintendo dropped right here in the last day of the first month of the year, and everyone's talking about it. Some people are excited, some people are angry, some people love it, some people don't. Everyone's all over the place, just like they normally are. And you've heard me, I think that overall this is all fine news. It's good info to get, whether I like paying for online or not or whatever. It's just good to get some updates and some pieces of information, both on the online service and an announcement of another game for their mobile plans. So we see that Nintendo is still dedicated to it and bringing arguably their biggest franchise over. So pretty crazy stuff. What do you guys think? That's what I want to know. What do you think about the release window for the online service? What do you expect to come along with it? Virtual Console, Netflix, all sorts of other things. Are you excited? Are you not excited because you don't want to pay Nintendo to play online? Are you excited for Mario Kart Tour? What do you expect from it? When do you think we're going to see the game? Discuss all this crazy Nintendo stuff below. What a nutty end of the day it was. I was really glad I had these topics to discuss for you guys because I love talking Nintendo. And I think that's going to be it for me today. So this, of course, is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time on another video.